Hi, Jeremy Cordeaux in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordeaux.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.
Wavelength.
Mental illness doesn't have to be a life sentence.
Alcohol addiction, abuse, misuse is the same all over the globe.
Sparking the convos about Adelaide.
So it made me feel very confident that if we did have it in the state, we were going to know about it.
You should be having...
There'll be guys that are trained, but they don't feel like they're good enough to take their shirt off.
Almost everyone is a culprit of doom scrolling. Anyone who has a mobile phone.
On Fresh 92.7.
Welcome to Wavelength, sparking the convos about Adelaide you should be having. I'm Hamish, and tonight I'm joined by David, and Jamie is back.
I'm back. Did you guys miss me?
No. Absolutely.
I put myself in that trap, didn't I?
Well,
I
David is an asshole, so we all know that. There's no surprises there.
Everyone was thinking it.
I genuinely missed your presence, Jamie. Absolutely.
I missed you guys too. It's so nice to be back in the studio. Back to your old banter.
I know. Yes, and it just kind of levels the playing field a little bit. So I was getting a little bit between the two of us. Just the testosterone levels are a little bit too high.
Let's just bring it down a peg, y'all. Let's just know.
Yeah, although I am probably speaking a little bit highly of us both there, David.
Especially me.
Well, what have we got on the show tonight, guys?
Well, I mean, there's been a couple of crazy things happening this week that I want to talk about.
Insane stuff.
The ACT criminalising stealthing has been a huge thing. That's great for, like, sexual health progression and laws.
Stealthing.
Do you want to explain that?
Stealthing is essentially when someone gets into, like, when they have sex and then the male removes the condom without the female's awareness.
Oh.
Yikes. Yeah.
Not
good.
just
non-consensual. Totally, for
just
sure.
Just going to put that out there.
Absolutely. And so it's non-consensual removing of a condom during sexual intercourse.
Yeah, that's really good. But you know what they need to decriminalise next? Soaking.
Decriminalise?
Oh, sorry.
You want them to make soaking legal. I don't think that should ever be legal.
You know what I mean.
Oh my God, it needs to become fully illegal. Soaking is crazy. How have we gone this long without knowing what that was?
So what's this new trend that's sweeping?
So soaking is something that's happening. I hate that you've made me
this on radio.
I hate that you've made me explain this. You handballed that to me.
Absolutely.
All right, so this new thing has come out about soaking, which it's a Mormon practice, right? Where essentially someone they penetrate someone and then they just leave it inside the vagina, and then it's supposed to soak. Okay. And then they just let it soak. And then they just lie there, like they don't move. They just let it. They just let it happen. And then apparently other people can come onto the bed and jump on the bed, so the two people in this sexual experience don't move.
No, like death penalty for that. That should be criminalised with the death penalty.
You know what, guys, if you're curious about it,
I love how they think they found a loophole there. Like, no, it doesn't count. What? How?
Doesn't count? Yeah. Oh my God, it's like the game. You remember the game of egg? It's like crack the egg where you lie on the trampoline. You have to hold yourself up and someone has to jump on the trampoline and break you.
Yeah.
It's like that, but
it's
Mormon.
like that, but the stakes are higher.
Yeah. They're cracking eggs left, right and centre. Tonight on Wavelength, though, we are all about dancing. Over the last week, there's been a huge push from Adelaide's local scene to let us dance. We've been pretty COVID-free here in SA for ages, so why can't we hit the dance floor?
We're also chatting with one of the best things to come out of Adelaide since frog cakes. That's right, we've got a brilliant interview with late night tough guy coming up really soon.
That's right, but next you might have seen some stuff in the news this week about Lion Arts Factory. What's going on there? We'll let you know everything you need to know about the situation and also how you can help.
You're listening to Wavelength.
Wavelength.
Welcome back to Wavelength, sparking the convos about Adelaide you should be having. We hope you're having a brilliant Monday.
So, guys, the big news of the week here in Adelaide has to be the situation with the Lion Arts Factory, right?
Absolutely. I don't know, for those who haven't heard the pretty devastating news, basically Lion Arts Factory and 5-4 Entertainment, they're a promotion company that's sort of quite connected to Lion Arts Factory. They're 6 months or less away from bankruptcy and closing as well, which is devastating. They're quite an institution here in South Australia and Adelaide specifically.
Surely, yeah, 100%. Surely one of the biggest gig spots in the city.
100%. They've got a very large capacity. Like, they put on amazing shows that otherwise probably wouldn't come down to Adelaide as well. And I mean, obviously, COVID's been hugely impacting for them. I mean, it's undeniable that COVID has a lot to do with it. But basically, at the moment, they're trying to raise some money. And they also have a petition going to try and get the state government to sort of step in and support them, make sure that they have a bit of backing to continue.
Pretty big petition. The petition's gotten over 10,000 signatures so far.
Yeah, it's gone gangbusters, that's for sure.
It just shows that the people of Adelaide and the people that go out to these venues really do care, and it doesn't take much to really bring a lot of morale.
Yeah, and people are obviously dying to get back through their doors as soon as they can. It would be a huge loss. There's no doubt about that. As you said, it's an institution. I think we've all got memories of being at the Lion Arts Factory. For sure. I mean, what did it used to be called?
Fowlers.
Fowlers. That's kind of more so where my mind goes when I think of that place. But,
our age group.
We're
Showing your age.
Really showing our age now.
A really important thing with this petition, it's just like a call out once again to the government to just like show support and like show some funding to this industry that is falling apart. Like it is just crumbling beneath us. And they've put in this petition, New South Wales, they've had music industry specific funding of 75 million from the government. Victoria, 20 million, WA, 15 million, Queensland, 10, and SA, we've only had $3 million worth of funding for all of the venues and industries. It's not enough.
And it's not just about the venue itself. If 5-4 Entertainment and Lion Arts Factory collapse, they're saying not only will 15 full-time jobs be lost in SA, they also have a $28 million impact to the South Australian economy. That's huge. There's also over 100,000 festival and concert tickets will be lost. There'll be also flow-on effects to 2,500 job roles and opportunities in SA. They're a massive part of the music industry. They do a lot of things that you don't notice. They are behind the scenes at Laneway Festival. They're behind the scenes at Spin-Off.
Yeah.
They're the ones that bring us these amazing things here in South Australia. Totally. And to lose something like that would be awful. It would be tragic.
And it's just disappointing to think that $28 million brought into the economy by those guys is still not enough, apparently.
Right.
It's still not enough to warrant, the government giving them a hand and giving them some help. And look, for the sake of parity, I think it's, worth mentioning that Stephen Marshall has responded to the petition. He's written an open letter to the owners, Craig Locke and Ross Osman, basically outlining that he believes he has already come to the party on this issue. Saying that he has already provided over $300,000 worth of support to the venue, which is obviously a lot of money, and it sounds like a lot, but it's also hard to kind of know just how much money that is in that industry and how far that does get you. I mean, $100,000 of that has been dedicated to just rent support. So obviously, as they haven't had anyone coming through the doors, they've had to continue paying rent. Their landlord is actually the state government.
Yeah.
Why can't they just put a pause on the rent for a while?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just let them kind of cruise by until things go back to normal. But again, if a venue rent costs, who knows, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah.
$300,000 might actually be not a lot of money in terms of keeping a big establishment like this open.
On the surface, that's right. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's hard as just a general punter to know how much of a difference that money is actually going to make. They got a primo piece of real estate that I can imagine does not come cheap at all.
No.
So, as you said, $100,000, it may just be a drop in the ocean. But
yeah, it's a massive petition going on as well on change.org at the moment. If you just search Save Lion Arts Factory and 5-4 Entertainment, you'll find it there. Or just go through their Facebook page, their Instagram. They've got links there everywhere. There's already 10,408 signatures at the moment. So hopefully we can get some more
Get
support.
around it.
Absolutely. Let's do it, Adelaide. Anyway, coming up next, we're chatting with Late Night Tough Guy. Looking forward to it. You're on Wavelength.
Wavelength.
Welcome back to Wavelength, sparking the convos about Adelaide you should be having. David, this week you spoke with Late Night Tough Guy. How'd that go?
Yes, I did. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm honestly such a fangirl. I spoke to him this week, the one and only Late Night Tough Guy, about his set over the weekend at Barossa Contemporary. It's a massive weekend that's just passed here in SA, and the lucky ones among us got to see Late Night Tough Guy in the flesh.
Ooh.
Wavelength.
Late Night Tough Guy, welcome to Wavelength. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show tonight. How are you going?
I'm going really well. Good to be with you.
Fantastic here in Adelaide at the moment, and you're here today to talk about Transcendence, and it sounds like an amazing gig. Just a night in the Barossa in an abandoned warehouse. Incredible show. Can you tell us a bit more about what everything's going to be like on the night?
Obviously, the Barossa is one of my favourite places in Australia, and we're so lucky to have it right here, living in Adelaide. The show itself, I can't wait to play. I think it's going to be a great night of music and art and wine and food and just everything. Really looking forward to playing. I don't get to play much in Adelaide, and obviously over the last, 18 months or so, things have been a bit, crazy. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait for this weekend, yeah.
I can't wait for it myself. And I mean, like you mentioned, it's not often that you get to play in Adelaide, but it's also not often that the Barossa gets events like this. Why do you think events like Barossa Contemporary are, I guess, important for the state's art scene?
Adelaide has a lot to offer when it comes to music and arts and food and things like this. So, and the Barossa is just the perfect place to do something like this.
Yep. And I mean, it's great that you're in SA playing gigs, but I guess it's not really like you've got a lot of other options at the moment. Can you let our listeners know a bit about how these last 2 years have been for you personally as a DJ who normally gets around the country and I guess the world a lot more? Yeah, well, I do live in Adelaide. I grew up here, but the last 8 or 9 years I've spent travelling mostly Europe and the States and some parts of Asia and Australia, of course, but not really doing much in my hometown. And the funny thing is when just before the whole COVID situation hit, I remember thinking to myself that I was feeling really tired and needed a kind of break from the whole traveling. Yeah, no, seriously. Well, you got one.
The whole traveling. Yeah, it's so weird. I feel like I willed this thing. I'm not sure, but it was actually really nice having that break for a while. But I think now it's become a little bit too much, and I think everybody's eager to get out there and start living life. Get on the dance floor, that's the one thing that I really miss seeing and miss doing, of course, is being out on the dance floor.
I think we've all got itchy feet at the moment, and I mean, there's been a bit of a push this week from many in the local Adelaide scene, calling on the state government, I suppose, to let us dance again. I'm interested to know, is this something you want to get behind on? Have you missed dancing? Have you missed the dance floors?
Yeah, we all miss the dance floor, we really do. And I think I have done a few gigs over the last year in Perth, in Brisbane, and even earlier on in the year in Melbourne. And dance floors were there were people, there was no social distancing, it was all really good. And I just don't understand why South Australia are really sort of backward on this. I understand that we really need to be careful about, spreading COVID and stuff, but I don't think we have much of a problem here. I think, we really, if the other states, or if the other cities like Brisbane and Perth can do it, surely we can, right?
Surely we can, right? I agree with you there as well. I'm very much on board with that. I can't wait to hit up the dance floor and see you DJ as well, personally. Late Night Tough Guy, thank you so much for coming on Wavelength. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Wavelength.
Thanks for that, David. What a great chat with the Late Night Tough Guy. He obviously was playing over at the Barossa Contemporary on the weekend. Sounds like an amazing set. Jamie, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, totally. So they had an arts and music festival happen in the Barossa over the weekend called Barossa Contemporary. It was run by this really amazing arts initiative company called Release Creative. Essentially, it was just kind of like celebrating art installations and stuff going on in the Barossa. So it's just bringing people down. A really cool new way to see music and like live art in a place that you don't normally get to go to festivals. The Barossa was really beautiful. On Friday night where Late Night Tough Guy performed, they did this thing called Transcendence, which was this like warehouse underground rave set kind of gig. Cool. Super cool. On the Saturday night, they had someone called Temple Orchestra Magic play as well, which is another really amazing local band here.
It all sounds far too cool for me, to be honest.
I mean, that's why I didn't snag an invite, mate. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, look, you don't need to say that. That's okay. That's fine.
No, it's really great. It's really great to be able to see these kind of gigs happening again, finally. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. And especially in a place like the Barossa, where I think it's quite new to be able to see these kind of like music events happening.
Yeah. The Valve is certainly starting to be released again, which is great. And any exposure to areas like that is awesome. It seems like a no-brainer, really, doesn't it?
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more stuff like that going regional because what a beautiful backdrop to kind of, have that kind of an experience in.
Totally, in the wine region, amazing.
We're very, very lucky here.
Yes, we are. I'm sure everyone had lots of fun there. If you were there yourself, hit us up on the text line and let us know. But anyway, up next, I'll be letting you know what the hell happened in the news this week. You're on Wavelength.
Wavelength.
Welcome back to Wavelength. Right now, I'm letting you know what the hell happened this week.
What the hell is going on this week? Wavelength on Fresh 92.7.
This week, one of the biggest headlines was when there weren't any headlines at all, as Facebook and a number of other social media sites went down, and for a few brief, glorious hours, peace reigned across the globe. Within hours, the world started to return to its natural state. People left their homes, mothers were called, deer were seen frolicking in the streets again, before Zuckerberg turned his big giant modem off and on again, restoring his digital dictatorship. One outlet that didn't go down, though, were the Fresh 92.7 servers, the only source of information and entertainment you'll ever need. Make the switch. Scientific modelling was released within the week, revealing which Adelaide suburbs would be submerged underwater by 2100 due to the ongoing catastrophic effects of climate change, which included areas like Wingfield and Semaphore Park, but unfortunately Elizabeth wasn't one of them. Dominic Perrottet took over the mantle from Gladys Berejiklian as New South Wales Premier, and boy did he have a busy week. The new state leader came in like Stephen Bradbury to announce a slew of welcome changes to Sydney's restrictions as vaccination rates continue to rise, finally ticking over to 80%, and confirmed Freedom Day will go ahead as planned today. Although it'd be hard to sour the crowd with news like that, South Australians were quick to remember when he had slagged off SA in the past, and I'd like to issue a warning to the new leader. Remember the last time a Premier made an unsavoury comment about our state? Remember what happened next?
Well, look, I don't want to be offensive to South Australians, but why would you want to go there?
That's right, they were hit with 16 months of lockdown, so tread carefully, Mr. Perrottet. We already have one Premier with a silent letter at the end of their name. I'm not sure we need to. The ongoing public health crisis in SA reached new heights this week as 16 ambulances were ramped at one time, and a taxi was actually called by a paramedic to take a patient to hospital as they were unable to pick them up. Which is pretty rough, but at least the cabbie agreed to waive the surge fare for the patient. This led to health workers questioning how will we cope with COVID once it inevitably spreads through the community as borders reopen, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say we're not. And that's what the hell's been happening this week.
Wow, Wavelength. Wow, journey.
What a week.
Always is, isn't it?
Oh my God. Okay, so just can anyone explain to me the whole Facebook thing that actually happened? Does anyone know about that?
I think it's I'm a conspiracy theorist on this.
I am falling down the rabbit hole.
No, come on. Let me speak. So,
you have the floor.
The day before, there was the 60 Minutes whistleblower in America that came out and just blasted them, saying they knew that the platform was encouraging like young girls to like commit suicide because they constantly push like pro-anorexia content on Instagram to young girls. And so the next day, I reckon they totally wiped them all, like shut everything down to be like, you guys need us.
To hide the evidence? You know what?
No, not to hide the evidence, just to be like, you guys need us. Like, look what happens when we're gone.
Really?
Like, you can't criticize us because we are so essential to your lives.
Wow.
That's my theory.
I mean, I like it. It's actually quite solid, and there's definitely a strong correlation there. I thought you were going to go down the whole QAnon thing. It was the beginning of the Great Awakening. Here it's happening. But no, it was a bit weird. I think also what you said, Jamie, maybe it was that, but maybe it was a bit of a deep clean.
Yeah,
you know, maybe they needed a good solid 6 hours to just scrub the servers clean of any evidence.
Just hide any jet we've got going on so it can't get sued again. Also, the ambulance thing, the crisis has been happening. Yeah. They had to call a taxi to bring someone to the hospital. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. That's as bad as it gets, isn't it? It just seems to be getting worse and worse, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and like they said, we don't even have COVID here.
Yeah, well, that's what you mentioned, and I've been thinking like all this last week so as closer we get to 80%, the closer we get to like having no lockdowns, no anything like that, and I'm like, holy Molly, are we going to have like thousands of cases in Adelaide? We have had like none. I feel like I'm not spiritually ready for like for that to happen.
I'm not spiritually ready for much, so definitely not that. But look, we've got some more music for you right now. You're listening to Wavelength.
Wavelength.
Welcome back to Wavelength. So, guys, earlier in the show, we heard from Late Night Tough Guy.
I mean, we're so blessed to see shows like that here in SA, but what's the point if we can't dance?
Right, exactly. What's the point? I mean, there's actually been a massive push this week, though, to get dancing back on Adelaide's dance floors. This week, I spoke with one of the figureheads behind the hashtag Let Us Dance movement, Adam Cope, to find out what's going on there.
Wavelength.
Welcome to Wavelength. It's great to have you on the show. First of all, could you tell me a bit about yourself and I guess your involvement in Adelaide's live music scene?
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name is Adam Cope. I've worked in the Adelaide music scene for almost 15 years now. Mainly as an event promoter and a band booking agent for venues. I was a band booking agent for Rocket Bar for over 7 years recently. I now work full-time for Lion Arts Factory, the big live music venue on North Terrace. Yep. I'm an entertainment manager there, so I assist with the band bookings. And I also organise nightclub-style events and DJs and sound techs and all that sort of stuff. And
so you've been around the scene. So you've been around the scene for quite a while then, and obviously dancing's imperative to what you do as a promoter, as a nightclub host, and you've started this petition called Let Us Dance. It's gained a ton of attention online for those here in Adelaide's local scene. Can you tell me a bit about why you started the petition and what the Let Us Dance petition is all about?
Okay, so I'm just one of the people behind this Let Us Dance petition. I'm leading it at the moment alongside colleagues in the industry, musicians and workers like Motez electronic musician, Dan Gill from Ground Floor Radio. Also teaming up with the South Australian Entertainment Industry Facebook group and the Hospo Owners Collective. And basically, we didn't think we'd need to start this petition, but the reasoning behind it is we wanted to bring attention to the public and to the media about how unfairly our industry is being treated in South Australia.
Yeah.
Because, for example, a lot of the Adelaide public don't know that there's free dancing and music festivals being held in Western Australia and Northern Territory and Queensland recently. But the South Australian government is just treating us like such a nanny state that we thought we'd have dancing back in August like they did in Brisbane.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this no dancing and no singing rule has stayed around for public events.
It's a bit of a limbo because we had the no dancing earlier in the year, and then that came back, and we had those few good months of dancing. You guys have still been able to operate. So, what sort of impact though does no dancing have on a venue like the ones that you work at?
Yes, I also work for Lion Arts Factory, and it's had a huge impact because what we do is events with crowds and dancing, and we understand that they're dangerous in this COVID world. But we've been having to pivot non-stop for 18 months now. Like, we've been hosting quiz nights and private functions, a plant market, wine tasting and gin tasting event. But unfortunately, our venue is not created for those kind of events. We have huge costs, like our audio and visual equipment, that even though events can't happen, those costs and bills are still coming through. For example, we used to sell 600 tickets to a live music show. Right. In our main room. And at the moment, it has to be seated and people have to wear masks. And we can only sell 157 tickets.
Wow.
And that's maybe roughly 25% capacity. Whereas Stephen Marshall and the government comes out saying it's all good, the industry is back to 75%. Well, no, we can barely trade at 25%. We can barely convince bands to play to a seated crowd, and then if we do, it's even harder to convince crowds to come and sit down to watch a band. When it's easier to fly to Perth or Darwin or Hobart or Brisbane and go see a gig and dance there than it is to dance in our own city. It is soul-destroying for everyone in the industry every time they see the Premier up in a press conference. Adelaide is a UNESCO city of music, and we're the festival state, but we can't even dance here. Another thing the public don't realise is there's not going to be any music festivals in South Australia this summer.
No, it's a terrible situation for all involved. I'm also keen to know, for those who haven't seen the Let Us Dance petition online already, how can they get involved and how can they support it if they're interested?
Yeah, so we tried to make it as simple as possible. We have a website which is letusdance.com.au. Yep. And from there you can sign the petition on change.org.
Wavelength.
Anyway, we've still got plenty of Wavelength left for you guys tonight, though, so stay tuned. You're listening to Fresh.
Wavelength.
Welcome back to Wavelength, sparking the convos about Adelaide you should be having.
So earlier we had a great chat with Adam Cope, one of the local promoters behind the Let Us Dance petition to get dancing back on the dance floors here in SA.
Here.
Yes. Aye. What a worthy cause.
Man, it's just been, it's been a really, really big blow for, the Lion Arts Factory and 5 for Entertainment in general. Like, it's just really sad to see. And, it's just for a venue that is potentially going to go under really soon, it's going to be a big hit for the city, for the local music industry. 5-4 brings so many amazing musicians to Adelaide. And, so many artists don't come to Adelaide anyway. Yeah. So if we got this knocked down, it's going to be a huge blow culturally for the Adelaide music scene.
But Let Us Dance is for all of us in SA. It's for every club as well, and even the smaller ones around the place, the larger clubs, they can't operate on these little restrictions, and not having a dance floor reduces the capacity by so much.
I think these politicians just don't want to bring dancing back because so many of them can't dance. So many of them don't know how to dance.
They're just shocking at dancing. They're finally.
Yes, finally we are safe and free from the scourge of dancing. It's a little bit like Footloose, isn't it?
It really is. It's just so disappointing because it's the one thing that you feel politicians kind of miss is the cultural aspect of what music and events brings.
Absolutely.
It's just such a big morale for everyone that works in the industry and comes along to these events. It's called the flippin' festival state.
Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna either have to wipe that off the number plate, so you're gonna have to start caring about what you're promoting, because at the moment it's empty.
It's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's soul destroying as well.
Yeah, it is. And I do. I don't want to get conspiratorial here, but I do feel like, there is something in that. There seems to be something more insidious here, things like, sports and, the AFL and, things like that are so deeply entrenched in Australian society and culture and embraced by all. All of our pollies are more than happy to be seen down at the local footy match, supporting their favourite team. But there seems to be this cultural blind spot around, just the whole nightclub scene, everything that goes along with it. There does seem to be this disdain, this quiet resentment towards
the youth.
The
damn youth partying.
They're trying to keep us down, man.
Really? Do you think that's because, and this is a solution that I would see, in order to kind of change this culturally, it would just be we need people to represent us. We need people of the younger generations. We need people that have been a part of these industries to be the ones coming into politics. Is that the only way it's going to change things?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wonder how many of, our current politicians have even set foot in a nightclub and what kind of misconceptions and, false ideas they may have about places like that because, they're no stranger to controversy, a lot of which has been manufactured over the years anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, there definitely seems to be, because I think that's the big question on people's lips all the time is why can't we dance? What is the big problem?
Especially
what is the
because
big deal?
It's so frustrating. We've had no cases recently at all, basically at all. And Queensland has been having cases on and off pretty regularly. They eased restrictions on Friday, immediately got dancing back. Immediately.
Yeah, it's they just have their finger on the pulse, so when they know what to, they just let us do it. But here it's stale.
If it's health advice, surely it would be the same everywhere, but it's clearly not. There's no reason why we can't have dancing. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get it.
I don't either. And I don't think anyone has been able to provide one really clear, concrete answer as to why. And as you said, the inconsistency across the board is probably the most frustrating aspect of it. But anyway, if you are keen on backing the petition, which you absolutely should do. Just head to letusdance.com.au. You're listening to Wavelength.
Wavelength.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show tonight. Thank you so much for listening.
Make sure you're subscribed to the Wavelength podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. You can listen back to our old episodes right now, and you'll be the first to know when tonight's episode goes up.
That's right. Thanks so much for joining me this week, David and Jamie. Great to have you back in the studio, especially
great
Jamie
to
Jam.
be back.
You're listening to Fresh.
Wavelength.
Hi, Jeremy Cordo in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordo.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.